Hi, everyone. I'm Luann Morris, and I am the navigator for Deborah Colleen Rose, who is here to do another installment of her audio biography. We're going, we're going to start with um, we're going to talk about your head injuries a little bit, your um, uh, unconscious, your trauma that happened.
Well, the I've had a lot of head injuries or concussions or head trauma, whatever. I don't know what the difference is medically, but let me put it this way. I've been hit in the head a lot. And so um, that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this audio biography is because I have lost a lot of memories in between the injuries. And then some of the injuries have brought back other memories. And so it's kind of been like going in and out, like a ship just bouncing off the waves and everything of, what's going on with my memories and stuff. And, everybody says, oh, well, there's a lot of things I don't remember. And then I know people that can tell you dates and times and things all through their life. And the things that I remember are like in two classifications. One, they're very vivid, like and I can see the movie, I can hear it, I can feel it, I can smell it. And then the other is like I'm just recalling a story. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of the head trauma that I've experienced is kind of like I'm recalling a story for a lot of them, and at the best count that I've ever been able to put together, I've had nine. That's a lot.
Yeah,
The
that
and
is
the
a lot.
first one, I talked about, I think, in episode one or two, about my grandfather hitting me in the head with his bony finger because it was pure bone at the end and knocking me out. And I was probably about 4 or 5 at the time. And then my dad had a truck that had a camper on the back of it. They called them cab over campers, and toppers. And we kids would lay on the bed and we'd be riding down the road and we're in the topper, and we'd be laying on the bed looking through the windshield, while we're going down the road. And he had a wreck and he rear-ended somebody, and then we got rear-ended, and I went through the glass of the topper plus the back windshield of the truck. And so that was a head injury. I got hit in the head in elementary school, and I didn't get knocked out, but I had vertigo real bad, and I had to go get my head stitched up in elementary school. I don't think that was a proper sentence. It's like I took the sentence apart and put another sentence in the middle.
Well, I have a question about the one with the truck. You didn't have lacerations with that?
Yeah, I had to, my dad took me to my pediatrician and he treated it. I don't think I had to have stitches though. I think that it was more, um, instead of a long cut, I think it was a deep puncture. And what's funny is that I had recently some cysts taken off the top of my head on both sides, and there's two big, huge dents in my head that I didn't know were there because those knots have been there for years. And so there was like knots, and then they were also filled in the dents. So I have these two big dents in my head. So one of the reasons why I got the cyst cut off is I thought one of these days I want to shave my head. My daughter has shaved her head several times, and I just thought she looked exquisite. I just think it's a really exotic look. And I'm like, okay, so I've lost weight. I've got my boobs cut off, got them reduced. The only thing I've not ever done I've got tattoos. The only thing I've never done that's extreme is cut all my hair off. And so, but I didn't want those knots on my head. But now I don't want those dents on my
Okay.
I have to go get some Botox injections or some filler and fill them in. Uh-oh, you froze up.
We had
Uh-oh.
Grandpa, we had the truck, and then next we had,
Baseball bat. And then there was a 2x4 that I got hit in the head with. across the street, catty corner from our house in Texarkana, was a lumber yard. And there were two brothers there that were, one was my age and one was a year younger. And there were a bunch of boys in the neighborhood. We used to play the lumber yard. And the younger brother of the Sandifer boys was swinging a two by four around. And I was backing up and I backed up right into it and boom, got hit in the head. And I think that one did kind of knock me out because I remember falling to the ground and then I kind of remember waking up. And I don't think I was out very long. And but it didn't break the skin or anything. But I was really dizzy and I went home and I didn't go to the doctor that time either. I don't know what they did. I think it's like, oh, walk it off.
Well, with the baseball bat, was somebody playing baseball or they just
Yeah,
playing
we
it?
were playing baseball at school. This is at elementary school, and we were playing baseball, and I was catcher, and one of the boys hit the ball and slung the bat. This is why they tell you not to sling the bat, and it hit me right in the head. And um, I remember I don't remember anything after that except shortly after that I remember I was being aware of being in the nurse's office, in at school, and I don't think that broke the skin either. But I was really dizzy and I got to lay down and stay in the nurse's office the rest of the day because this was at morning recess. So
So you were out after that one too.
yeah, so there's baseball bat, two by four, car wreck, granddad. So before I'm even 10, there's four major head injuries.
Wow. Well, at 10 years old, you were telling me that you read early, that you were an early reader.
Yeah, yeah.
So were you seeing any cognitive differences for yourself by the age of 12, 10, 11, 12?
I don't recall anything being different. I mean, at that age, you don't think about whether you're losing your memory or if your brain's different or whatever. You don't think about those things. And but here's what I know of my past. My most vivid memories come from the ages of 5 to 10. I don't remember
Oh,
much before 5. I really don't remember a lot of elementary school or high school specific memories. I mean, there's pieces, but and I always just kind of told myself, well, it's because there wasn't anything really interesting going on because I was pretty bored of school. And but I don't have a lot of specific memories in those years. And I just have sporadic in and out, in and out, in and out memory periods in my adult life. But, for years I just accounted that to, trauma, boredom, what's to remember if there's nothing going on. And then, though, as I've been thinking and trying to put together pieces for doing this and writing my book and everything, I realized I had a lot of crap going on in my life, a lot. So that's what made me start thinking, well, what has this done to your brain? And what can you do? And so, I had that near death experience about 10 years ago. So since then, I've been really involved in strengthening the brain and looking at things that help you recover memories and things like that. And I have been getting more memories back. And I don't know if it's just a natural progression or if it's because I'm doing holistic, different energy healings, or if it's a combination or what it is. But I am getting more and more memories back as I get older instead of losing them like you do when you get older.
uh, consciously trying to remember. Well, I always, in my nursing, always, we kind of learned that the young brain, which is what we're talking about, recovers quicker and is still processing and growing. So it's able to overcome whatever nerve loss they have. And that's always well, did the nerve die? Did you grow new nerves? Did you repair the nerve? So that's always been a big deal about the young brain. So,
Well, well, let me just say this real quick. I do handwriting therapy, and that's one
Mhm.
of the purposes of handwriting therapy. And I think that's helped me a lot too, because through the handwriting therapy, we're doing it through the non-dominant hand. And so that is integrating the left and right brain by encouraging more neuron connections to
Mhm.
be developed. So that may have been part of the things that's helped me with my memory as well. So
I can see how that would help because it's that connection. Sometimes we don't make it between one side or the other. So what happened after the lumberyard incident?
I don't know.
What?
So I mean, so I had the baseball bat, the lumber yard, the car wreck, my granddaddy's finger. That doesn't sound right.
No, it doesn't.
And then my senior year in high school, this is an interesting story. Um I had been dating a guy in high school and he joined the Marines and we broke up because he left and I didn't want to be a military wife and I was very distraught, very distressed, very pissed off that he because he made the decision to join and didn't even tell me he was going to join and just assumed I was going to marry him and go finish high school in California and be with him. I'm like, excuse me, I have my own life, you know. And so that it pissed me off, but like we were talking about yesterday, and watch out, we're talking again. Being angry and being a grievous, grieved are really in the same. So I was
Hmm.
I was grieving. I felt abandoned and hurt and betrayed and all that stuff. And because he came back and tried to see me again after he left, and I wouldn't take his calls. I returned his letters. I was just, man, I was an emotional hurricane at that point. And I met a man that was about 6 years older than me, and we started dating. And we got engaged, I guess, after about 6 months of dating. And I decided that I was making a huge mistake. Now, I want you to remember that I didn't remember this happening this way. And I always wonder how I wound up married. So I have this really beautiful engagement ring. We're out one night having dinner, and I'm like, no, I can't do this. And I gave him back the ring. And the next thing I know, I wake up the next day and they tell me we've been in a car accident.
Okay.
And I can't remember what happened at that time. This is a recovered memory for me, though. I gave him the ring back. He goes, I would rather be dead than not be married to you. And he slammed the car into a telephone pole.
Oh,
And somewhere in that process, because he didn't get a scratch on him, he did not get hurt at all. And I got a major concussion. And during that process, he put that ring back on my finger. And I had no memory of breaking up with him. And I just kind of walked around in a daze after that. And I think I was just in a daze for months, actually, because I don't remember, because that was like somewhere around the holiday time, Christmas or New Year's. And I don't remember anything from that holiday period until just before we got married.
when did you get married?
We got married the month after I graduated school. I remember graduation. I remember the graduation ceremony. No, I don't. I remember being at the graduation. I can remember seeing all the people there. And I can remember people telling me how funny it was that he yelled at me when I crossed the stage. Because as I walked across the stage, he yelled, and this is at Moody Coliseum at SMU. I can remember him calling out, going, now can we get married? And of course, everybody
Ah,
laughed. And he's real lucky I didn't turn around and shoot him the finger. I was like, you asshole. I mean, this is kind of a clue of what's coming, okay? And I don't remember anything after that. I have pictures of us going to prom. I don't remember prom. Um,
wow.
I I have little vignettes of our wedding, And I have better memories of preparing for the wedding that morning because I was having to take the cake to the church and the cake broke. And
Oops.
the little column things, and the preacher wouldn't let me in the church to deliver the cake because I had on shorts. So I had to go home and change so I could deliver the cake and get it set up. I don't remember getting dressed. I don't remember the ceremony, but I remember thinking, I'm going to kill this man because he shoved cake up my nose. So I mean, it's really funny, there you know that there's these items that happen, these facts, these activities, but it's like I remember like 1 out of 30, actually have, but I'm able to piece the stories together because of what people have told me and emotions that I have. That's why in the introduction I'm like, I'm telling the story the best I can. This may or may not even be true, okay? But it's as true as I know it to be.
So the memory of what happened right before the car crash only came recently.
Yeah, it came about a year ago. And I went, motherfuck. I did. He's dead, which kind of pisses me off because I would really like to have a conversation with him. This man really did a number on me emotionally in a lot of ways. And I don't necessarily think he was a bad man, but he fucked me up in a lot of ways.
He took advantage of the fact you don't remember breaking up with him.
He took advantage of that. He did not do right by me in our marriage and on several levels. When I finally woke up one day and said, I don't want to buy a house with this man and I don't want to have his children. What the fuck am I doing here? So I decided to get a divorce, and it took me over a year and a half to get a divorce because every time I'd bring up the subject, he would throw himself at my feet, bawling, and wrap his arms around my ankles. And I mean, God, how do you deal with that when you're like 20, 21 years old? I mean, that's hard, you know,
Mhm.
hard because at that point I still thought of myself as not being a bitch. you know. Now it'd be like, kick him to the curb. You asshole, get away from me. Not that bad, but yeah, it would not be difficult for me to say no at this point in my life.
Oh, well,
And maybe I should thank him for that. Maybe that's part of the reason why I don't have that difficulty, you
maybe
know?
so. Okay, so we're up to one, two, three, four, five now.
Okay, so there were two car accidents where I had a concussion. I have no memory of one of them. I just know it happened. And then I have a very specific memory of the other one because it was during an ice storm. And I was dating this guy. This is after my first divorce. And we're rolling down LBJ just before you get to Webb's Chapel. And this is before they did all that, changing and stuff. And there was this huge hill that would go, you would exit off and you go up the hills,
Mhm.
at, so that's actually marsh probably. And he had to slam on his brakes because he wasn't paying attention. We were in the far left lane. It's all ice. I don't know what the hell we're doing out. It's the middle of the night. He slams on his brakes with me going, tap the brakes, because he's rolling up on this car too fast. He slams on the brakes. We slide across 4 lanes of highway and roll up that hill and then roll back down that hill.
Oops.
Now, I got a concussion from that. Uh, but the irony of that is that the car he was in that we had was bucket seats. I don't remember what kind of car, as I can see it kind of in my mind. It was blue and it was kind of like a Camaro, but it wasn't, and it had bucket seats. The seat I was in broke. And the paramedics that came out said if I had had my seatbelt on, which I did not, that I would probably had wound up with a broke back. So, um, not being strapped in, I got a concussion, but I probably would have gotten that anyway because I hit this side of my head on the window because I knocked
Uh-huh.
it out. I got a hard head.
It's a damn good thing.
I mean, think about it, going through two plate glasses, the glass of the topper and then the back windshield, you know. I mean, I got a hard head. So I don't know. What was I talking about?
The concussion you got with the ice storm accident.
Yeah, so that was two with car wrecks. No, three, counting the one with Steven. So that's like up to eight now. Oh my God, I probably have had more now. Because
No, that's six.
are you sure?
Five when you were five, and then the truck, and then the baseball bat, and the lumber yard, and then the when you were a senior in the car accident, and then the ice storm.
And there was another one I can't remember. There was another,
Oh, between
yeah,
the senior year and the ice storm,
yeah, yeah,
and it was a car accident, or
yeah. And I don't remember any of that. I had someone remind me of that, so I'm just taking that at face value. Um, I used to go to Arkansas every year and go crystal digging, and I fell off a cliff and hit the back of my head, and I lost about 2 hours of time. So I'm assuming I had a concussion and I got knocked out.
so that was the one between senior year and the car accident.
No, that took place. The two car accidents, the one I remember, the one I just described, and then falling off the cliff, all took place after my first divorce. So that was three in about a 2 year period.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. And then I got beaten with a baseball bat by a guy that I was putting in jail when I had my bail bond company, and he slammed my head up against a brick wall. Now, and just so you know, I did get him in jail, and he looked as bad as I did. Um, so how many's that?
One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine.
Okay, so with the near death experience, that's 10.
Okay, and so was that the next one that you remember after
Yeah,
the
that's a that
baseball?
yeah, and so that's like a 15-year period of no head injuries. Yay me.
Hey, wow.
I was on a roll. Oh, maybe longer, maybe 20 years.
So, do you want to go into detail today about your near-death experience?
No, I don't think I do. I think I want to save that for later because
Okay.
that's pretty intense and it's pretty complicated.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
anyway, I just kind of wanted to go over, those things to let people know why I may seem like I don't know what I'm talking about or why there's some memory blocks or,
mhm.
outages or, you know, my ERCOT in my brain had a meltdown. But
Okay, so talk a little bit about how the whole scenario of being hit in the head has impacted
well,
your
the
life.
the what has impacted me is to be intelligent and be smart and then not be able to recall things. It's very disconcerting. It makes you question sometimes your intelligence. It makes you question your sanity at times. Um, and it's also makes me sad when I hear people talk about things in their life, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, and it'll go, this happened at such and such. And I'm like, what was I doing when I was that age? And my timelines are really, I almost you're gonna die. I almost think one of the reasons why I've been married 5 times is that's kind of the way I measure time. Did that happen while I was married to husband number one or husband number two, or did that happen in between those marriages? And my memories as an adult are associated in my marriage timelines, and it kind of helps me keep certain things straight and in order.
Okay.
So I find that very helpful. I really do.
Before marriage and after marriage.
Of which,
Or was it in between?
yeah, which one, which one? But, it just, I also think though, a lot of the memory, losses or blanks or whatever is also due to just dealing with trauma. I think that's the way our body and our mind work to keep us protected from, too much tragedy and too much stress and too much chaos because being married 5 times, obviously there's a lot going on. People don't do that normally. I've also had to deal with mental health issues in my family. My brother committed suicide, and then there have been other things. I've had children that have difficulties. Um, Owning a bail bond business and doing bounty hunting is very stressful. Private investigations is very stressful. I didn't realize until recently how good I had become in my life at putting things into compartments. And so now I'm actually going back and saying, okay, do I really seem, am I really as unemotional as I seem, or am I just good at controlling my emotions? Or am I good at just not having them control me? Because I realize that there's a lot of things in my life that really hurt my feelings now, as far as I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to hear that tone of voice. I don't want people talking to me that way, that I have just let roll off my back. And so maybe some of that's just age. I'm just tired of the shit. But the other thing is that if you don't allow those emotions to come to the forefront, then you don't have to deal with that stuff. And you can focus on what you have to do. And like, I realize I am not a morning person. I am just not. And do you know how many years I used to have to get up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning and go do surveillance? And I just did it. I just did it. And I'm like, how did you do that? You really hate that. You really, really hate that.
Well, I think it's when we're doing our work. Yes, we hate it, but we love our work, so we do it. Because when I did open heart surgery, I was up at 4 a.m. You
Yeah.
know,
And I do like doing surveillance. I was thinking I had to go get treatment some varicose veins today, and I had to be at the clinic at 8 this morning. So again, I'm like, oh my God, I'm having to get up at 5:30 so I can be ready to. And was thinking to myself, you know what? Most of my friends have died. And good for them because I'd be calling. What I used to do is I get on surveillance and I'd be set up by 5:30. So by 6 o'clock, there's nothing going on. I'm bored. And I used to call my friends and wake them up. And I and talk
what
to
a
them.
lovely friend you are.
And I was thinking, oh my God. I said, I should call Luann so she could get a taste of what it's like to be my friend when I was younger.
Well, I was up. I was up. I was up right after 7. So,
But and I found a lot of ways to amuse myself. Like this is before we had like eBay and Amazon and smartphones. I used to have a portable TV that I took in my car or my truck with me on surveillance that plugged into the cigarette lighter. And that's when shopping on TV first came in, QVC and stuff like that. And I can remember set up on surveillance, watching that, buying shit for Christmas presents, and did my Christmas shopping that way.
okay.
Calling, hi, this is Deborah. I'm on surveillance. I'd like 2 of those rings, please.
Oh, well, we do what we got to do.
Hey,
That was the early internet, right? That was the early buying everything online.
oh my God. Yeah, yeah, it was great too. And that's one of the things I did to get back at Caitlin, my daughter's dad. So if you don't watch our other podcast, some of this stuff is not going to make sense to you. We have a podcast called We're Talking Again. Watch out. And I was talking about my gay husband yesterday and how we had an agreement to stay married so I could be home with my daughter. But one of my little passive aggressive ways to get back at him is I used to order shit and have it delivered to his office so he could see how much of his money I was spending. Oh well.
Don't mess with me, mister.
Very much. I mean, you can be gay, but I'm gonna buy all this damn jewelry while we're doing it.
Oh dear.
So, what else do you want to know? What else you want to talk about?
Oh, well, I don't know. I think I'm happy that you stopped having head injuries because that is really concerning. I mean, because I remember having probably three in my lifetime, in my whole lifetime.
Really?
And I never lost consciousness with any of them. So it just, wow, that's a lot.
Well, let me tell you something. My dad always said I had a hard head, and I do, you know. So if I had to hit something, I'd rather it be my head. And I never get headaches. See, I didn't finish that sentence or that one either, did
No, no, you didn't.
So yeah, so I often wonder if one of the head injuries didn't give me ADD, you know, but but I never get headaches. I never get headaches ever, ever,
You're
ever, ever.
lucky. You are
I
very
know.
lucky.
I can remember having one headache in my whole life. And I was at Girl Scout camp one summer and we would go swimming, you know, in the river. And they always made us wear swim caps, you know, those plastic rubber things.
Yes.
And I hated them and my hair wouldn't fit up under there and they were always tight. And we were learning to dive and I dived. And the minute I hit that water, I got a shooting pain that went through my forehead, out the back of my head, and they had to drag me out of the water, and I had that they put me in the cabin. What is it about leaving kids alone when they're in pain? And then they drug me to the cabin and I laid there with an ice pack, which was probably the worst thing I could have done, on my head for 3 to 4 hours before the pain finally subsided. And the only thing I could figure out is that there was pressure on my forehead and that water got up my nose and put pressure on my sinuses.
Hmm.
That's the only thing that makes sense to me. But, you know, I can remember being in the nurse's office at school and she just called, you know, kind of check, I guess, to see if I was breathing. And I'm laying in the cabin and I think they checked on me once or twice to see if I was breathing. I mean, people just let kids lay around in their bed.
I don't know if it's not because we're not concerned. It's just that uh, children are resilient, and sometimes what is the other word for it?
Well, if they're talking and walking and breathing, I don't think people think there's much going on. But you know, I could have had a brain bleed. You know, I could have had an aneurysm. I mean, the pain could have been bad enough if they weren't checking on me. I could have had a heart attack or from stress. I mean,
Yes, but those are not the things that we think of with children.
oh, not especially when we were growing up. Oh, oh my God, I had, you know, I used to do horseback riding. Oh my God, that was another injury I had. I just
What?
okay,
When did you have that one?
okay, so I must have been maybe seven, maybe
Okay.
seven. And I used to go horseback riding all the time. Some friends of the family had ponies and horses, and I've actually got a picture of me in a little cowgirl outfit, and I rode in the parade with little Alan Young. Oh my God, I just remember his name. And see, little things just pop up when I least expect them, and I'm horrible with names normally. And but I used to go out there and go riding. And of course, the story is my dad was having an affair with the man's wife, and that's why I got to ride so much. But whatever, I loved it. I didn't care. And I was riding this beautiful spotted pony named Pot Liquor, and he was really gentle, but he was, you know, pretty spirited too. And all of a sudden, he reared up and threw me off, which he never did. But what was going on is there was a snake, and so he's trying to pound the snake. He actually did kill the snake. He's pounding the snake, but he's thrown me off. I've landed on a rock in the small of my back, and I hit my head on something. So my dad runs out there, picks me up, carries me into their house. They put an ice pack on my head. They put an ice pack on my back, and you know, again, you all right? Good. Walk it off.
Yeah. I used to tell my kids, "Are you bleeding in three places?" No. Okay, you're good. Just walk it off.
Yeah. So, but I have a cracked tailbone from that. So,
Yeah. Mm.
you know, but the horse hurt me, but at the same time he killed the snake. So,
Well, that's good. So, do you think that you will continue some of the therapies you've been doing that helped you remember the car accident?
Oh, I'm doing TKM right now, which is a bioenergy, electromagnetic energy field energy work. It's people go, oh, it's like Reiki or it's Reiki, but it's really not. But it's still energy work. So it's like Reiki because it's energy work, but it's not like Reiki because it's about having certain parts of the body connect through laying of hands. And while it's not a Christian um, modality, the people that support this and teach it or is a Christian based organization. And I have been getting some really great results with this treatment. And I've actually used some of the procedures for healing, like burns and different things as well. So I'm probably going to go study it. I was going to go the end of February this year, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to because I don't really want to go to Kansas City to do it. But and I always do my handwriting therapy. I always do the trauma release writing whenever I'm stressed or whatever, and I think that helps. And I think, and there's nothing scientific about this, so if you're actually watching this, don't email me or call in and say you're so stupid because you're not going to change my mind. I think a lot of my memories are coming back due to my spiritual growth.
Mhm.
And my spiritual gifts are getting stronger. And since we're holistic beings, we're mind, body, and spirit, that makes us whole. If one gets stronger, then the others get stronger. I'm healthier now at my age than I've been since I was 25.
Oh, good.
I'm 65 years old and I don't take any medication,
That's good.
and I just had a hip replacement a couple months ago and I'm already mountain climbing. I went a half a mile up the mountain, half a mile down. And I don't mean on a pavement. I'm talking about you're walking on rocks and they're rolling around and you've got to use your walking stick so you don't fall on your face. And I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if I got another hand injury here?
That
you
wouldn't
know,
be funny. Don't even think it.
but I'm going to tell you, I couldn't have done that walk even 20 years ago because of back pain and everything else.
Yeah.
But I'm fairly pain free. I still
That's
have.
something to be thankful for.
Yeah, I mean, I still have some health issues and stuff with fibromyalgia, but that's getting better with the TKM treatments as well. So,
Good.
things like that. What were we talking about? There was a
Head
specific.
injuries. No, I asked you if you were going to continue with the therapies that helped you remember the car accident.
Well, yeah, I'm going to continue with the TKM. I've got 7 more sessions to do because there's usually 10 sessions per, modality of what you're focused on. And we're focusing specifically on memories and brain health. I always do the handwriting therapy, but I always try new things because I just like seeing what's out there in the world and seeing what helps. And, I take bits and pieces with me into my own life if I like it, like sound therapy. Um, I've never seen any results with that, but I like sound therapy. So I go, I do it just because it's pleasing to the ear. Um, I am a Reiki master. Never had any results with Reiki, I'll be honest. But I went through all the trainings because I like learning things. And I think that's the biggest thing is that it's getting easier to learn again. I haven't been able to memorize things for years. And I realized the other day, you know how you have to, when you're logging in and it says, okay, we're going to text you now your verification code, and you have to type that in before they'll actually let you log in. Well, used to, I'd have to write that down or I'd have to go back and refer to the message or whatever, sometimes 3 times, even if it was just 6 digits, because I couldn't retain those numbers. Now I can say the number and retain them and boom, 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 you know?
Yeah.
So I have a list of decisions that's part of a treatment plan that I've been doing that I have to memorize, and I haven't been able to memorize them in a year. And I got the first one memorized the other day. So
Oh, that's
that was
big.
exciting. Yeah, that was exciting. So hopefully, you know, I can get that done in the near future. Um, because I used to never have to memorize as a kid. I used to be able to read things and be able to retain it for not, I didn't have like a photographic memory, but a real good one, and so not having the skills to memorize because I never needed to, and then not being able to memorize at all, that's really been my biggest, I don't know, frustration.
Hmm. Well, I know that I don't have a photographic memory, but a lot of times if I put a picture in my brain when I'm trying to remember something, the two together help me remember.
Yeah, and so I didn't even have to do that. I could just look at things and remember them. And, used to I could win at any kind of trivia game. I don't know where the information came from. I'm like, why do I know that? But it was like that stuff was just, logged into my brain.
Uh-huh.
And I'm getting better at being able to, people say something, I'm like, well, it's blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, how do you know that? I'm like, I don't know. I just do. And so it's not that I have some deep spiritual guide downloading information. It's just that I read it somewhere and I remember it. I can pull it up when I need to. So,
Okay, so what do you think you want to talk about next?
um, I think I need to talk about my marriages.
Okay.
And I think I should just go ahead and tell people why, or at least define the five marriages for future reference, and then we maybe break those down a little bit. Okay. So
Well, we
here's,
got a little insight today into
yeah.
marriage number one. So,
So basically, yes, I've been married 5 times. Okay. So I haven't beaten Liz Taylor's record yet. So
oh,
here's how I like to explain things, and then I'll go in a little more detail. But so the first marriage doesn't count because I got married right out of high school. So you're allowed to be stupid at that age. The second marriage, I was exonerated. I did not kill him. And I actually was widowed when I was 25. He died of a heart attack. The third one is not my fault, even though it says that in the court records. My third husband was gay, and I did not turn him. He literally testified in court that I had turned him gay. No, he didn't. I'm just lying. He actually sued me for libel for telling people he was gay.
but honey, it's true.
It was true. And he won, and he represented, oh, this is so sad. He represented himself, and I had two attorneys, and they lost that suit. He got $1 million judgment against me for libel.
Great.
It was hilarious. Oh my God. The fourth one, I will take credit for because I just walked into that marriage. I must have just backed into it because I didn't look into the details. I don't know what, I was just stupid. Okay. I was just stupid. I think I was beat down. I was wore out. I had been widowed. I'd been married to a gay man. I had two children to raise. And this man was nice to me and we got along and he was pleasant. After we got married, I found out he had schizoaffective disorder and everything he had told me was a fucking lie.
Okay, so next time we're going to go into detail, right? We're not just going to gloss over.
No, we'll go into detail. I'll answer any of
Okay.
your questions. And then the fifth one, Scott. We've been married 27 years. Yes, he's 12 years younger than me. Yes, he looks like a baby in our wedding pictures. And yes, I love him with more than anything I can even think of where it comes from. It's more than what I possess just myself. I really love this man. So there you
Okay.
have it in a nutshell.
All right, so we're going to talk about that next time, and I'm sure that that will be quite entertaining and enlightening.
Yeah, this I just wanted to tell people why it might seem like I have difficulty answering questions or remembering things, or if here's the good news. Oh my God, here's the good news. Most of the people involved in my stories are dead. So I
So
don't have to
feel
worry.
free to discuss.
So I have to worry about people calling me up and going, "Why are you saying that? That's not what happened."
Okay.
Don't have to worry about lawsuits.
Again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the deal. We'll talk about that when we talk about Richard later on. Because it's still hilarious that he won a libel suit against me for $1 million for telling people he was gay, and yet he's gay, and he's been married to his gay lover for years. So, all right,
Uh,
are we done? Are we
we are
done?
done for today unless there's something else that you recall from your traumas.
No, I do want to talk about my near-death experience in a session by itself. I think that people will find that intriguing or whatever, and then we can talk about my marriages. We can do them one by one or all together, or we can talk about all my boyfriends. That didn't even count all the boyfriends.
So I think that being uh, out from a being hit in the head 11 times is enough.
Is that 11? Are we up
Yes.
to 11?
Yes. It was 10 times. Then you had a 15-year hiatus. Thank you.
Hiatus.
Hiatus. And then you had your you were out, and that was when you had your near-death experience. So we can talk about your marriages next time, but then I want you to consider for the next, what, 2 weeks, how can you I just you and I went to see that movie. What was it called? Oh, it was documentary.
It was a documentary by Angel Studios. What was it called though? I forget.
I forget too.
How often do you remember the name of the studio? I remember the studio. That's
I
stupid.
never remember the name of the studio, but it was a
Was it just called
documentary.
Death? Maybe it was just called Death. I don't know.
It was about near-death experiences and the different kinds of experiences that have taken place. However, uh, everyone had similar experiences.
It made me cry. It
Yep,
because
yep.
it was, I don't know, it was so relief. It was a relief to hear my story come out of other people's mouths,
Mm,
you
yep.
know. And the other thing that freaked me out is that some of the images, because they would make up images to give you the feel what the person was experiencing, were identical to some of the things I actually saw.
Because they could describe it in such detail.
Yeah. So it was, I need to watch that again, I think, but I don't know if I can. It was pretty overwhelming.
Well, I didn't really know where I was, where exactly what we were going to see, just that it was about near-death experiences. And so, yeah, it was enlightening, I think.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, honestly. I just wanted to get out of the house.
Um,
I like going to the
oh,
movie.
After Death is the name of it.
After death. I knew it was something
After
death.
Death.
Yeah, after death. Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's a
Yeah,
very, but of course, who am I to recommend anything? I'm binge watching the Power series now, which is about 50 cents live. And I can't stop watching them. I'm just so intrigued. I
that
love
would be
mafia.
like going to a different world, I would think.
Well, not for me. The way I relate to this is it reminds me of a lot of the experiences I had with my clients when I had the bail bond business, and some of my clients when I did criminal defense work as a private investigator. So that's what kind of got me hooked into this. But I'm just intrigued at all of, I mean, I'm just intrigued at all of it, because you're watching it, and you're going, okay, this is human nature, this is exactly what they're going to do, and then they do it in the show. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm writing the show in my head, or if they were just so excellent at capturing human nature when they wrote these series. So there's like four of the series,
Okay.
and plus it's an interesting study to me in how poverty and um, opens the door for a lot of the criminal activities.
Hmm.
I, I would love, of course, you have to be real careful about this, but I would love to sit down with some people of color and go, is this a color issue or is this a poverty issue?
Oh,
Um,
yes, it would have to be somebody very open and willing to give you that information because not many do.
no, because and here's what I'm frustrated with, and then we can be done. I'm frustrated with the fact that I really want to understand more about other cultures, other races, and other classes. I mean, even in the white community, the I think I have a pretty good handle, but sometimes I go to gigs, I'm like, wow, this is a totally different mentality when you're dealing with people from different class levels.
Hmm.
And you know, I ask questions, and people sometimes people will say, "Well, you're racist," and I'm like, I'm not trying to be racist. I don't want to be racist. I just want
I
information.
want to understand.
I want to understand. So my questions are out of ignorance.
Yes.
And if my questions perpetuate or reflect a stereotype, it's because I have no other information to pull from, you know?
I had an experience like that but I was talking to a Muslim couple, and I said, "Do you mind if I ask questions?" And they were very open and honest with me, and I found some things out and that I didn't know. And so the next time I saw them, I did not bombard them with questions. I was happy to see them.
Right. Well, it's just like Muslim. We say Muslim, you hear the word Muslim, but I have been told on several occasions that the proper pronunciation is Muslim.
Oh, it may be. Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah, I
don't
don't know
know.
either.
And is it offensive if you don't know? So anyway, whole nother story. So
Yep.
anyway,
Maybe that's a question for we're talking again. Are we
well, and
pronouncing things correctly?
I do have some personal stories that involve race from my childhood, and I will be more than happy to share those. And so we'll talk about them further in the future because I don't
Okay.
see this being something that we get through for a while.
No. Okay. So I'm no angel, but I know the devil will be
I've
back.
met the devil. All right. So, of course, I have other people that think I am the devil. So we'll see how it
No,
goes.
you
You
just
know,
know who he is.
I know who he is. We're on a first name basis.
Okay.
All right. See y'all soon.
Bye now.
Bye.